In just a few days, the entire landscape of humanoid robotics shifted. Boston Dynamics gave Atlas a new perception system that lets it adapt to complex tasks in real time. Hugging Face released 2 affordable humanoid robots, open source, powerful, and ready to ship. In Taiwan, a hospital deployed a fleet of robots built on NVIDIA tech to handle logistics, navigation, and safety. Honor, after a $10 billion AI push, revealed its entrance into robotics with a record-breaking humanoid sprinter. Singapore committed $100 million to launch the world's first humanoid firefighting force, backed by its own AI language model. Greece is preparing for the first ever Humanoid Olympiad, where robots will compete in Olympic-inspired events. And in Mecca, Saudi Arabia introduced the Manara robot, an AI religious guide speaking 11 languages, backed by smart surveillance and crowd management tech for millions of Hajj pilgrims. This isn't the future creeping in quietly, it's arriving all at once. Boston Dynamics couldn't stay quiet in a week like this. The company pushed a new vision stack onto its Electric Atlas and dropped a video to prove it. The system blends 2-dimensional awareness, spotting shelves, obstacles, and hazards, with a 3-dimensional key point module that pins down Atlas's exacted pose against whatever fixture it's working on. When Atlas picks up an engine cover, touch and motion data continuously estimate where that cover should be in space. If the object drifts, the software knows the robot misgripped and needs to correct. Calibration routines run in the background to offset temperature swings or bumps that might throw off joint sensors. During the demo, an engineer deliberately drops a part on the floor. Atlas hears nothing but still notices the missing item, scans the ground, finds the cover, figures out a fresh grasp point, and returns it to the correct bin. Boston Dynamics says the next research push pivots from what it calls spatial AI to athletic intelligence, shorthand for making the robot's movements look less like keyframes and more like real-time reflexes. While Boston engineers were refining perception, Hugging Face decided open-source robots needed a price tag ordinary labs could handle. On Thursday, the company showed 2 humanoids, Hope Jr. and Ricci Mini. Hope Jr. is full-size, with 66 powered joints, hips, knees, elbows, wrists, you name it, and should land right around $3,000 once shipping starts near the end of the year. Ricci Mini sits on a desktop, nods its head, talks, listens, and costs roughly $250 to $300 depending on tariffs. Both machines owe a lot to April's acquisition of Pollen Robotics, and every bit of hardware and firmware is hosted on GitHub. That philosophy tracks with Hugging Face's earlier Lay Robot collection, the SO101 3-dimensional printed arm that got an update in January, and the training data boost it grabbed through a tie-up with Yacht for self-driving data sets. Chief Executive Officer Clem DeLange keeps repeating that phrase, dangerous black box systems, and at this point it's clear he wants robotics to look a lot more like Linux and a lot less like proprietary mainframes. Taiwan's Mecca Memorial Hospital in Taipei added its own twist by deploying a 3-robot fleet built with Ubitus and NVIDIA's healthcare stack. The first unit is an autonomous mobile robot with a virtual assistant that guides patients through registration and appointments, chatting in natural language thanks to Llama 4, running on Blackwell graphics processing units, and rendered as a digital avatar with NVIDIA's ACE tool. The second is a dual-arm humanoid based on the Isaac GR00TN1 platform. It shuttles specimens and supplies through unmanned corridors, freeing nurses for clinical work. The third is a quadruped fitted with gas sensors, thermal imagers, and leakage detectors, all driven by a Jetson AGX onboard and the same Isaac mobility software, so it can patrol boiler rooms or isolate wards with minimal risk to staff. Before any metal touched the tile floors, engineers built a photoreal replica of the hospital in NVIDIA Omniverse, then used Isaac Sim to rehearse each task/deployment time and iron out safety edge cases. Mecca is calling itself the first smart hospital in Taiwan, running the new B200 graphics processing unit, and early feedback from staff is that paperwork shrank and patient flow got smoother. Speaking of companies pivoting out of their comfort zones, Honor, the smartphone brand that spun out of Huawei, announced it's jumping headfirst into humanoid robotics. Back in March, the firm set aside $10 billion over 5 years for an AI ecosystem it calls the Alpha Plan. And this week, Chief Executive Officer Li Jun told a launch event crowd that the money now covers legged machines too. Honor's engineers have already used their algorithm stack to train a unitree humanoid that clocked 4 meters per second in a recorded sprint, a speed record for the category. Inside China, where Huawei's Kuafu robot and NIO's factory bots are already headlines, that kind of benchmark is currency. The strategy looks pragmatic. Honor will develop in-house software while leaning on hardware partners, think unitree for legs, maybe others for manipulators, until it can field its own chassis. They're betting that as phone upgrade cycles slow down, AI-enhanced robots will open $1 trillion market in warehouses and auto factories. It's a crowded field, but breaking records never hurts investor morale. Over in Singapore, the Home Team Science and Technology Agency, HTX, is spending $100 million to build the world's first dedicated public safety humanoid center, the H2RC. 4 prototypes have already rolled onto the floor at the AI Tech Explore Expo, 3 at about 5'6", and a smaller one at 4 feet that pairs with a wearable exosuit. An operator moves an arm, the robot mirrors it instantly thanks to motion capture sensors, while a virtual reality headset streams the robot's camera feed back to the human. The plan is to deploy these machines in 2027 for firefighting, hazardous materials, and search and rescue, then flip them to full autonomy by 2029. The software Brain is a large language model named Phoenix, trained in all 4 of Singapore's official languages and tuned for police, civil defense, and medical jargon. HTX signed Microsoft and Mistral AI to help customize FI4 and a series of private large language models so officers can query databases or generate incident reports by voice. Once Phoenix is stable, it becomes both a chatbot for field teams and an application programming interface for every other Home Team app. If records are your thing, circle August 29th to September 2nd on the calendar. Those 5 days, the International Olympic Academy in Olympia, Greece, yes, the same ancient site, will host the first ever International Humanoid Olympiad. Organizers Acumano and Endeavor Greece are turning the birthplace of the Olympic Games into a showcase where bipedal robots will sprint, jump, even throw a javelin in front of a live crowd. The event isn't all flashy demos. Engineering teams will run workshops where students build simple bots on site, and keynote talks will dig into ethics and physical intelligence, their term for blending motion planning, perception, and big language models. The idea is to mash thousands of years of sport mythology with 21st century robotics and ask what human-machine partnership really means. It's a marketing dream, sure, but also a scientific stress test. Nothing exposes a control loop fault faster than a 100-meter dash on uneven ground. And finally, the story that kicked off this entire news avalanche came out of Mecca, where Saudi Arabia rolled out its AI-powered Manara robot inside the Grand Mosque. It isn't a gimmick. The unit answers religious questions in 11 languages: Arabic, English, Urdu, Bengali, Malay, and 6 more, using a fatwa database that's been vetted by scholars. When the built-in answers run out, the robot fires up a 5th-generation video call so a pilgrim can speak directly to a qualified sheikh. Designers went all in on aesthetics, wrapping Islamic geometric patterns around a 21-inch touchscreen, while high-resolution cameras help the machine navigate through the millions performing Hajj rituals. Manara is part of Riyadh's Vision 2030 plan, the same modernization push that produced Sara, the bilingual humanoid unveiled earlier this year. Managing 2 million people circling the Kaaba isn't exactly a small room demo, so the kingdom paired the robot with a fresh layer of crowd tech: ground sensors under the marble, radio frequency identification gate readers at every major entrance, and AI-driven cameras watching flow rates in real time, all feed a system that can spot a bottleneck before it even forms. It's not just hype. More than 1.2 million pilgrims have already landed, and officials say the smart tools, plus those new souk appointment cards everybody's carrying, are keeping the lanes clear. There's even a second AI kiosk, Manara 2, working in over 20 languages at key checkpoints, and a Mecca bus guidance center tied into the same network so groups don't lose anyone between airport and hotel. When you add the Tawaklana health app and the new luggage coding system that tags every suitcase from departure gate to Mecca hotel room, you start to see a full stack approach: spiritual answers in the front end, logistics algorithms in the back. A year ago, general-purpose humanoid still sounded like a moonshot. Today, it's just Tuesday press release material. The thread tying everything together is that robots are leaving controlled factory lines and stepping into places packed with variables. Pilgrim crowds, burning buildings, busy corridors, kids at a workshop. To survive, the systems need the same trio of senses humans lean on: sight good enough to recognize a lost engine cover, touch precise enough to feel a subtle weight shift, and language savvy enough to settle a theological debate or walk a visitor to radiology without breaking stride. The companies that nail all three won't just sell hardware, they'll rewrite workflows we thought were permanently human. Maybe the wildest part is that all of these announcements, the Mecca multilingual guide, the 5'6" firefighter in Singapore, the $3,000 open source kit from Hugging Face, the lightning-quick Chinese sprinter, the Greek robot Olympics, Boston Dynamics perceptive Atlas, and Taiwan's hospital trifecta, hit on May 29th or within a couple days. That's not a quarterly roundup, it's a single news cycle. If this is the pace heading into the back half of 2025, then yeah, it's not crazy to think we'll kick off 2027 with a robot teammate standing on the factory floor, speaking your language and asking whether you'd like it to take the night shift. So here's the question. When robots are guiding pilgrims, fighting fires, sprinting in Olympic arenas, and replacing hospital staff, how much longer until they're making the decisions too? If you found this interesting, make sure to hit like, subscribe for more updates like this, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.